Good morning, everyone, and welcome into this day with Quimper Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. Whoever you are, wherever you're from, whomever you love, and whatever your faith tradition, you are welcome here. My name is Kathy Stevenson, and I'm a member at QUUF. I'd like to begin this service by acknowledging that the land Port Townsend sits on is the traditional territory of the Sklallam and Chimicum peoples. We honor these indigenous people in history and those with us today and strive to counter the harm done due to colonization. It has been our tradition for decades to enter this sacred time with the ringing of the chime. It is good to be here with you today. I'd like to welcome Michael Franti and Spearhead, who will lead us in our call to community with Hey, Hey, Hey.
It's been a long time coming that I had to say. When I wake up in the morning, all I do is pray for some guidance and protection on the streets today, and an answer to the questions I ask every day. So tell me, why did the birds that used to fly here? Tell me, why did they come to die here? And all the kids they used to run here, tell me, why did they load their guns here? I remember in the days when we were one heart, no need to defend. I just wrap my arms around you. Don't give up, this song is for you. Hey, 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 no matter how life is today, there's just one thing that I got to say. Won't let another moment slip away. I say, hey, hey, no matter how life is today, there's just one thing that I got to say. Won't let another moment slip away. I hold on, I'm trying to hold on. I hold on, hold on, hold on. From the tops of the buildings to the streets below, between the Wall Street banks and the empty homes, between the lines of the people standing all in a row, there's a crack in the gutter where a flower grows, reminding me that everything is possible, reminding me that nothing is impossible. You gotta live for the one that you love, you know. You gotta love for the life that you live, you know. Singing, hey, 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 no matter how life is today, there's just one thing that I got to say. Won't let another moment slip away. I say, hey, 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 no matter how life is today, there's just one thing that I got to say. Won't let another moment slip away. I hold on, I'm trying to hold on. I hold on, I'm just trying to hold on. Until the morning comes again, I will remain with you, my friend. We will ride until the sun goes to the place where it begun, and we will live to laugh and cry another day. How you feeling, y'all? Don't let nobody ever tell you that it couldn't be done. Don't let nobody ever tell you that we couldn't be one. Don't let nobody ever tell you that it shouldn't be sung. Don't let nobody ever tell you you're the only one. No. Singing, hey, 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 no matter how life is today, there's just one thing that I got to say. Won't let another moment slip away. Put your hands together, hey, 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 no matter how life is today, there's just one thing that I got to say. Won't let another moment slip away. Whoa, 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 whoa. I'm just trying to hold on, trying to hold on, trying to hold on. I say, hey, 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 no matter how life is today, there's just one thing that I got to say. Won't let another moment slip away. I say, hey, 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 no matter how life is today, there's just one thing that I got to say. Won't let another moment slip away. I hold on, I'm trying to hold on. I hold on, hold on, hold on. I hold on.
Thank you, Michael and Spearhead, for the universal message that we all need at times. Please join me and Cynthia in our chalice lighting words. They were written by Philip R. Giles. May the flame here lit be to us a symbol of the torch that is passed from hand to hand and life to life, of caring and concern and the passion for involvement which has marked people of our liberal faith for many generations. Thank you. Our opening words are by the Reverend Cecil Williams. We come together this morning in acknowledgement of our need for one another. Some of us need to be heard, but have no one who will really listen. Some of us need to be loved, and some of us need to love. Some of us want to change, but find it too difficult. Some of us are lonely, but afraid to tell anyone. Some of us just want to be ourselves, but we're afraid we won't be accepted as we are. Some of us want to make the world a better place, but feel weighted down by a sense of futility. Some of us don't even know what we need, but hope to find out here. We come together sometimes in fear, sometimes in trust, sometimes in sorrow and pain, sometimes in joy, but always in hope and faith that we can help and strengthen each other in our quest for wholeness. This is the time in our service when we acknowledge and welcome those of you who are visiting us this morning. You're invited to say hello in the comment section and tell us your name and where you're from. The chat section can be found below or on the right side of the video when you're out of full screen, and we'd love to hear from you. So welcome, everyone. We're glad you're all here with us today. And now is the time to receive the offering. During the summer, our offerings go to the support of our programming, staff, and buildings here at QUUF. During the church year, September to June, we share our offering plate with local nonprofit organizations that do work to support our UU values. If you'd like to donate today, you have 3 options. Text the amount you'd like to give to the number now showing at the bottom of your screen. Go to our website, QUF.org, and click on the giving link, or simply mail a check to QUF. Just remember, please, to put offering in the memo line. And we now gratefully receive your offering as we listen to Al Thompson and Helen Lauritzen play the Andante from Joseph Horovitz's Sonatina for clarinet and piano. Thank you, Al and Helen. Your music is always beautiful. We have one announcement this morning. There are 2 community meetings coming up to discuss the disputed Alps classes. The first, on Monday, August 1st at 6:30, will be on Zoom, and another on August 9th at 10 a.m. will be in the sanctuary. Please read your weekly update for links and details, and we encourage you to plan to attend one of these meetings before the issue comes before a congregational vote next month. We will now share our joys and sorrows, recognizing that our personal joys and sorrows are only a fragment of the joys and sorrows of the larger community of life. And thus, we place this first stone thinking in particular of the grounding many people feel in the summer when there are visits with family and friends, and those remind us of our deepest relationships. And now, within the congregation, we light a candle of joy for Cynthia's son Holden as he launches into a gap year at Interlochen Center for the Arts. And now we place a final stone holding in our hearts the joys and sorrows I've just shared, plus thinking of the joys and sorrows among us that are unexpressed but of no less importance. I invite you now into a moment of silence.
What teenagers wish we knew. Reddit is a popular social media site where people post about topics that interest them. 4 years ago, a poster asked teenagers, "What is one thing that all parents should know?" It got 7,800 responses before it was archived. Following are some of the comments that teens upvoted the most. These gave me a lot of food for thought, and I think all adults should be aware of them. We might not always agree, but we should listen. Some of these are lightly edited for clarity or to remove profanity. Please give us a chance to talk back sometimes. Actually listen to and believe us when we tell you something that might sound incredulous. Don't compare us to other kids. It hurts a lot. Please don't comment on our eating habits or weight. Take interest in our hobbies, even if you might not personally like them. Don't force us to be more social. It's something that'll happen with time, or some of us just prefer to be alone. Accept us for who we are because we're not yours to change and control. If your child criticizes you or brings up something you did or said that hurt their feelings, don't try to turn the tables and play the victim. No matter how understanding you are, your kid will still hide a few things from you, and that's completely normal. When I ask why, I'm not always being a jerk. Sometimes I truly want to know why you won't let me do something. Don't get upset when we don't tell you something and then freak out when we do. Please don't put every detail about my life on Facebook. My parents don't really let me have an opinion when they talk to me. A lot of people think that I don't have emotions, but really I just stay quiet because I'm not used to being listened to. Respect us. When I was coming out to my mom, I found out she had already read my diary. She said she already knew because she read it. It was incredibly humiliating. Our special music today is Mad World by Gary Jules and Michael Andrews.
Worn out places, worn out faces, bright and early for their daily races, going nowhere, going nowhere. Their tears are filling up their glasses, no expression, no expression. Hide my head, I wanna drown my sorrow. No tomorrow, no tomorrow. And I find it kinda funny, I find it kinda sad. The dreams in which I'm dying are the best I've ever had. I find it hard to tell you, I find it hard to take. When people run in circles, it's a very, very mad world. Mad world. Children waiting for the day they feel good. Happy birthday, happy birthday. And to feel the way that every child should sit and listen, sit and listen. Went to school and I was very nervous. No one knew me, no one knew me. Hello teacher, tell me what's my lesson. Look right through me, look right through me. And I find it kinda funny, I find it kinda sad. The dreams in which I'm dying are the best I've ever had. I find it hard to tell you, I find it hard to take. When people run in circles, it's a very, very mad world. Mad world. Enlarging your world. Mad world.
Our speaker today, Cynthia, grew up in Ohio, graduated from Northwestern University with a degree in journalism, and has worked for Reuters news agency in 4 countries. She also spent a year volunteering for a humanitarian relief organization in refugee camps in Somalia. For the past 20 years, she has worked remotely from Port Townsend as news editors for Reuters. She says that being a parent to 2 sons is the most important work of her life, and she has been an active volunteer in local schools and youth organizations. In a spare time, a puppy is training her, and she enjoys travel and the outdoors. Thank you, Cynthia, for speaking with us today.
Thank you. As you heard, my name is Cynthia Osterman. I'm a member here at QUUF and board chair of a local nonprofit organization called the Benji Project. This is my second time as a Sunday speaker. The last time was about 5 years ago, not long after I founded the Benji Project. The organization is named for my son, Benji Kenworthy, who died by suicide at age 15. The Benji Project's mission is to teach young people skills for coping with life's ups and downs so they can manage stress and face challenges with resilience. We run programs on mindfulness and self-compassion for teenagers at schools and in camp and community settings. We have now worked with more than 1,000 teens in Jefferson County. I want to talk to you today about the mental health of young people, both locally and globally, and why it should matter to everyone in our community, whether you have a young person in your life or not. My message for you today is one of hope, but also a call to action. Our work at the Benji Project and my own role as a mother to teenagers have made me very aware of how adolescents are faring these days. The picture in some ways is positive. Our teenagers are bright, caring, and thoughtful. They have a lot going for them. But the headlines are worrisome. This is an extraordinarily difficult time for a young person trying to navigate their way to adulthood. It's important to recognize that health is not just about our bodies. Mental health is fundamental to health. Mental health affects every aspect of our lives: how we feel about ourselves in the world, solve problems, cope with stress, overcome adversity, connect with others, and perform at school and at work. Adolescence is, by its very nature, a time of intense emotions and profound change. Equally, it's a normal part of the human condition to experience fear, sadness, worry, and distress sometimes. Generally, these feelings are transitory and do not interfere with our ability to function. But sometimes these issues can affect our daily lives and relationships with others. I'm talking about conditions such as depression, anxiety disorder, eating disorders, and self-harm. There's also schizophrenia and bipolar disorder. Nationally, 1 in 3 high school students and half of female students reported persistent feelings of sadness and hopelessness in 2019, a 40% increase from 2009. National surveys of youth showed large increases in depressive symptoms and suicidal ideation. That's the process of thinking about or planning suicide. Between 2007 and 2018, the suicide rate in ages 10 to 24 increased by 57%. Sadly, my own son was part of that statistic. There are many factors that affect mental health, from genetics to poverty, geography, exposure to trauma, and social environment. And researchers have proposed theories for higher rates of mental health conditions, including greater openness around discussing mental health, increasing academic pressure, drug and alcohol use, and inadequate mental health care. One theory that resonates for me is the growing use of digital media. This worsening youth mental health trend has coincided with an explosion in technology. In media and social media, teenagers are bombarded with messages that erode their self-esteem, telling them that they are not attractive enough, popular enough, smart enough, or rich enough. This was all true even before COVID struck. The pandemic presented even more dramatic challenges to the well-being of young people. The loss of school and social contact, deaths, economic turmoil, physical distancing from family, friends, and absence of activities like sports put unprecedented stress on youth. According to research, the incidence of anxiety and depression symptoms doubled during the pandemic. In early 2021, ER visits in the United States for suicide attempts was 51% higher for adolescent girls than in early 2019. It's also important to note that some young people thrived during the pandemic. They got more quality time with their families, faced less academic stress and bullying at school, and enjoyed more flexible schedules. But the overall picture was grave enough that the Surgeon General last year declared a national mental health crisis. 1 in 3 young adults aged 18 to 25 have experienced a mental health issue in the past year, and suicide is the third leading cause of death for people ages 15 to 24. The majority of teens will have considered suicide at least once by the time they turn 18. As you know, COVID wasn't the only external stressor for youth. There's quite a catalog of global and national problems that weigh heavily on our young people. Among these are concerns about race and justice after the death of George Floyd and other Black Americans at the hands of police, violence against Asian Americans, rising gun violence, including mass shootings at school, political polarization, the Capitol attack and threats to democracy, climate change and increasing natural disasters, decreased protections for the rights of gay and transgender people in some states, and recently the overturning of Roe v. Wade and the threat to abortion rights. On abortion in particular, the majority of people who have abortions in the United States are in their 20s, so this is a very present issue for our young people. More than half of cisgender women of reproductive age live in states where abortion is or is expected to be banned. Research from the American Psychological Association says that people who are denied access to abortions have higher anxiety, lower life satisfaction, and lower self-esteem than peers who are able to obtain abortions. Meanwhile, a study by UC San Francisco School of Medicine found that 95% of women who have had abortions do not regret the decision. Given what's going on, it's no wonder many young people struggle with their mental health. I wish I could tell you that here in our corner of the world, things are different. Unfortunately, that is not the case. Every 2 years, the CDC and states survey students about a range of health topics, including mental health. For many years, Jefferson County teenagers had significantly higher rates of depression, anxiety, and suicidal ideation than Washington state average. And Washington has the unfortunate distinction of being a national leader in youth suicide. Suicide is the second leading cause of death in Washington for ages 15 to 19. Teenagers in Jefferson County have additional mental health burdens, including rural isolation, an absence of age-appropriate mental health services, lower than average family incomes, housing insecurity, high rates of childhood trauma, and limited places to gather and socialize. Mental health challenges make it difficult to learn, to interact with peers, and to participate in activities. This spring, the results of the most recent Healthy Youth Survey conducted in 2021 were released by the state of Washington. Among students in 10th grade across Jefferson County, 52% were unable to control their worrying over the prior 2 weeks. 36% reported feeling sad or hopeless in the last year. 25% made a suicide plan in the last year. 13% reported they had attempted suicide in the past year. These statistics are troubling, but I want you to pause for a moment to think about the very real suffering that lies behind these numbers. Half of our 16-year-olds were consumed by worry. A quarter of these 10th graders planned their own deaths. There may be flaws in the data because our population is small, but as someone who will never recover from the loss of my son, I think we would be foolish to look at this as anything other than a health emergency. Some of you may be aware of the suicide of a 13-year-old boy in our community about 18 months ago. Beyond these serious problems, there are many more Jefferson County teenagers who have transitory but painful periods of sadness and anxiety. Sometimes kids put on a mask for the world but are struggling inside, beset by worry, not feeling safe enough to tell us what is really going on in their heads and hearts. Their social environment is often not supportive. The return to in-person school in Port Townsend was accompanied by incidents of bias-driven violence and hate speech. Educators reported some students had regressed in their ability to interact with other children. In our aging community, this situation may be easy to overlook for many of us. Teenagers are not very visible, and during the pandemic, they were completely out of sight. They have limited influence. They mostly cannot vote, they do not pay taxes, and their opinions are rarely solicited. Not to mention, some normal parts of adolescence, such as challenging authority and increased risk-taking, can make teenagers a nuisance and not very likable. We might be relieved when they are out of sight, out of mind. But communities are like ecosystems. If all parts of the ecosystem are not thriving, the whole cannot thrive. If it was ever in doubt, the pandemic reminded us that we are all in this together. Young people want to enrich our lives and community with their energy, ideas, and labor. We need to give them safety and support so they can grow up healthy and develop their potential. When mental health problems undermine young people's desire and ability to work and contribute, communities suffer. Problems like addiction, poverty, and homelessness can worsen and have wide-ranging impact. There are many variables at work, and hope for the future in the form of jobs and housing is an important one. Our track record in providing that to our young people here locally has not been stellar. So I've given you a lot of quite sobering information, but you'll be relieved to hear there is cause for optimism. If we put the right resources in place, most mental health conditions are treatable, and even kids who suffer from depression and anxiety typically do not go on to develop mental health disorders. Moreover, we are one of the very few places that are working on large-scale prevention through the work of the Benji Project. We believe that over time, our work and the work of our partners in healthcare, mental health care, education, and others can impact the statistics I cited a minute ago on depression and anxiety. At the Benji Project, we are dedicated to teaching skills to cope with life's everyday ups and downs. Our programs give kids tools to deal with stress and weather adversity. They can call on these in a challenging time and, we hope, avoid a downward spiral. Our programs teach mindfulness practices, helping kids ground themselves in the present moment without judgment, and self-compassion so they can counter their inner critic and negative messages absorbed from the media. As an organization, we want to be part of a culture shift around destigmatizing mental health and making it normal to talk openly about our experiences. So we stress that our programs aren't just for kids who are struggling. They are for everyone, because it's inevitable that everyone will face hardship in some way, shape, or form. It just makes sense to have learned a few tools to be prepared. The Benji Project seeks to reach every youth ages 11 to 19 in Jefferson County with an in-school program teaching these mindful self-compassion skills. We just completed our third year of programming in Port Townsend schools, and we have expanded to Chimacum and Brennan. In addition, we offer community-based programs. This month, we held 2 summer camps, including our first camp for LGBTQ+ youth in partnership with Olympic Pride. As I've made clear, young people need our support now more than ever. I'm hoping that as a result of my talk today, you're inspired to ask yourself how you can be part of the solution. Supporting the work of the Benji Project is a great way to start. QUUF has been generous with offerings designated for us, and contributions are always welcome. In addition, we need board members with certain skills, and I'm happy to discuss that with you if you're interested. You can see our website at www.thebenjiproject.org. There are many other youth-focused nonprofits in our community that need volunteers too, including Skillmation, Owl 360, and Olympic Angels. Equally important are the actions you take in your daily life. I encourage you to reach out to young people and tell them you are here for them. This may be a neighbor, a friend, a grandchild, or other relative. Taking the first step is hard, but teenagers are not going to seek us out. It's up to us to start the conversation. Show them you want to hear what is on their mind, that you want to listen without judgment. And make sure you do that. Let them drive the conversation. Be curious, ask questions, and be very cautious about offering unsolicited advice. You can also have an impact as a role model. Combat those taboos around mental health. Experiment with honestly sharing your struggles and embrace that risky feeling of exposing your vulnerabilities. Owning our feelings and acknowledging that we aren't perfect is a very liberating experience. Lastly, please make choices that help this be a good place for young people to grow up. Support youth programming at QUUF. Think about the need for youth recreation spaces like a public swimming pool. Consider future school bonds and levies as if the outcome was going to affect someone you love. Love is the most powerful force in the universe. Let's learn to treat ourselves and others with kindness. Thank you. Our closing song today is The Middle by Jimmy Eat World. It's brought to us by Reina Del Cid and her musical buddy, Toni.
This is called The Middle.
Reina and Toni Eat World. Take
1.
1, 2, 3, 4.
write yourself off yet. It's only in your head you feel left out. Look down. Try your best. Try everything you can. And don't you worry what they tell themselves when you're away. It just takes some time, little girl, in the middle of the ride. Everything will be just fine. Everything will be alright, alright. Hey, you know they're all the same. You know you're doing better on your own. So don't buy in. Just live right now and just be yourself. It doesn't matter if it's good enough for someone else. It just takes some time, little girl, in the middle of the ride. Everything will be just fine. Everything will be alright, alright. It just takes some time, little girl, in the middle of the ride. Everything will be just fine. Everything will be alright, alright. Hey. Hey, don't write yourself off yet. It's only in your head you feel left out or looked down on. Just do your best. Just do your best. Do everything you can. Don't you worry what their bitter hearts are gonna say. It just takes some time, little girl, in the middle of the ride. Everything will be just fine. Everything will be alright, alright. It just takes some time, little girl, in the middle of the ride. Everything will be just fine. Everything will be alright.
Before we extinguish our chalice, I want to remind you that Katie Ottaway will be our guest speaker next Sunday. She will be preaching on ACE scores, pandemics, and stubborn hope. I hope you can join us. And now let us join our voices in our chalice extinguishing words. We extinguish our flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, the fire of commitment, or the power of transformation. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. And now let us turn our attention to the Lockdown Band, who will perform our postlude, We Won't Stop Singing.